So once you're first in Premiere Pro, you'll be given a load of tabs along here. There's probably actually more here than in yours, because I have a certain number of layouts that I use throughout my workflow. You will definitely have the first 4 or 5. So first off, we have learning. We then have assembly. As you can see, when I'm clicking these, it's changing the layout of the program. Editing. Then we have color, effects, audio, graphics, captions, libraries. You get the picture. Personally, I only actually switch between 2 or 3 workspaces throughout my time in Premiere Pro, and we will cover those as we get to them. So first and foremost, what do these things do? Okay, well, you need to do a little bit of house clearing straight off the bat. And I'm going to show you the most simplified and just beautiful layout that I've found over my years of using Premiere Pro. So if you go on the editing workspace, this is the default editing workspace for Premiere Pro, or how Adobe say this is the best way to do it. Okay, down in the bottom left is our project bin, which we will cover. But if you want to follow along with me and set it up like this, I promise you, going forward, it's going to be a lot easier to work into. Remember what I said about if I say I haven't used it in 10 years? Yeah, there's a number of things along here that I have never used, and I don't really see the need for them, because there are other ways to get to that information if you need it. Okay, we definitely need our project bin here. These are bins and these are windows. These are, well, they're not really, it gets complicated, and I know that's my job to explain, but I'm not explaining things that aren't really relevant, because they're never relevant to anybody. So if you tab along here, you can see that we switch this little window to different areas. There are only 2 tabs in here that we're actually going to be keeping, and that is project and effects. So if you left click on media browser, right click and close panel, gone. Do that again with libraries, do it again with info, do it again with markers, and do it again with history. Already much cleaner. Now all of this can also be moved. Pay attention to this, because this is one bit that you'll do. You'll move something around and it will either disappear, it will undock, I'll show you that, or you'll put it somewhere where you don't want it and then can't figure out how to move it back. So as you can see, we have similar up here to what we had down here, but just with 4 tabs. So we have source, no clips, that's an important window. Effect controls, that's another important window. Audio clip mixer, we are not going to use that. I never use that, and I think it's so dangerous. I'll explain that in a minute. And metadata, don't need metadata. Right click, close panel. Oh, don't you feel like you're having a spring clean? Okay, so let's wait before we get round here. Let's just sort out this area. So what I do, and I normally work in a ultra wide monitor. In fact, I'm working on an ultra wide monitor now, but I'm actually scaled down to 16:9, so it will play on most people's screens. If you know what that means, great, you're ahead. And there will be a part in this course where we will cover stuff that you kind of already know, but it's good to go for it anyway. It's good to pay attention and really just refresh. If there are any things that I'm explaining in this tutorial that you already know, it is a good idea not to skip ahead anyway, and just keep an eye and just refresh your knowledge and understanding. Okay, so this is our project window, as it were. We're going to grab this now. Watch what happens here. So right over where the name is, left click and then drag. Keep your finger on the mouse button, and it now, as you can see, my cursor has changed to a black pointer with a little square, and now anywhere where I go, it's highlighting different areas. Now what this is doing is this, we can easily just move this round. So I'm moving this project window. You see how that switches between effects? Now, this is a bit of a bold stroke, but this is where I put my project window. You grab it, and rather than in there, which if I let go, it would actually add underneath here. It can get really complicated. I'm going to grab this and I'm going to go all the way over to the left side of my monitor and then back a little bit. And as you can see, rather than the purple colors around here, we get a green band, and that green band spans the top and bottom of this whole thing. Let go, and that has now pushed everything that was there over to the right, and now this project area is huge. How do we do that and sort it? Cracking. We get there and we pull back. So I normally have my project area about here. Then we grab effects and we do the same, but we don't go here, because that is then going to put effects next to programs, to project. And you see what's happening here? What we're going to do is we're going to grab effects and we're actually going to put it on the same level as the project window. When I let go, they're then now tabbed next to each other. Remember they were down here on their own? They're now up here. I'm going to grab project and go to the left of effects, and I'm also going to resize this. You can see how customizable this is, and you can really, once you get into Premiere Pro and use it a lot, you will notice just how you want a different window in a different area. You will find your way to do this. I know that doesn't really help. It doesn't really, this is the way you should do it. I'm showing you the way I do it, but there are so many editors that do it so many different ways. There are other programs which you can't do this with, which is great if you're going from one machine to another to someone else's machine. You can edit straight away, but at the same time you can't manipulate all the windows to be exactly where you want them when you want them. So we have our project area and our effects right here. I promise you this will make sense. I promise you. Just follow me along. So effects controls is going to stay there. Source clips is going to stay there as well. Audio clip mixer we're going to get rid of, but I'm actually going to, no, I'm not going to leave that there. You don't want this, okay? If you've got a clip in here, which you will see soon, I promise. If you've got a clip in here and it's highlighted and you're affecting it, it only affects that one clip. And in my workflow, you never want to do that. You want to actually affect a track. But we can't see audio track mixer here. So what we're going to do, if there's any window that you ever want in a workspace and you don't want to go to a different workspace to get it, because then when you switch back to the main workspace it's not there, you go to window, click window, and what we want is audio track mixer, which is right here. Look at all these other windows that aren't open. All the tick boxes mean that they are currently open in your workspace. There are so many others, but remember some of the ones that we got rid of? We got rid of history, we got rid of info, we got rid of learn, well, that was on a previous workspace. We got rid of media browser, we got rid of markers. There's so much we got rid of because we don't need it. So let's click audio track mixer, and what happens? It's actually put it right there. In fact, that's where we want it, but we don't want audio clip mixer. So right click and close panel. Oh, it feels good. Now down here are some shortcuts. They're clickable shortcuts, but look at all this dead space. I don't have this here. What I do is I grab this and I bring it up to here, and it sits at the side. And now I grab this and size it all the way down. So now what we have is we have our source monitor, which will have video or image in there. We have our effects controls, which we can toggle over when we need it. We have our audio track mixer, again, which we can toggle over when we need it. The program monitor is where your main video is going to be. And at the bottom is the timeline, which is where we're going to edit. There's only one more thing to do to get this workspace ready, and that is this. In fact, I'm going to leave this and I'll show you why it doesn't need to be this big.